Can Clemson wreck Notre Dame season? I'm going to dive in that in just a second. Hey, I'm Brian. I'm not Bobby. Thanks for joining me on the channel. There's a lot of people been hopping on the channel recently, and I do appreciate it. I hope you subscribe. Even if you've been watching for a while, you never subscribe. I hope you'll do that. It's free. So let's talk about Notre Dame. Notre Dame has had an interesting season. In my preseason Notre Dame preview, I said that if they got to this point of the season and they only had one loss that was close, or maybe two losses that were close, this could be a big game for us. Now, I didn't know that Clemson was going to go on this how many turnovers can we turn over tour that they're on, that they're calling a season, losing 4 ball games. And I didn't know that my nerves would be shot this bad by this point of the season. The thing with Notre Dame, they barely lost to Ohio State in South Bend. That infamous play where Notre Dame only had 10 players on the field. And then I thought maybe, just maybe, Southern Cal and Notre Dame would be like a massive game. But much to my shock, not that Notre Dame would win the game. I picked them to win the game. Notre Dame absolutely throttled them. I mean, beat their flipping brains in. And I mean, that's a 4-touchdown performance. But the head scratcher for Notre Dame is that loss to Louisville. The loss to Louisville, 33-20, only for Louisville to turn around and lose to Pitt. Lost to Pitt at Pitt by 17 points. But Notre Dame just played Pitt this past Saturday and blew them out by 51 points. I know, make it make sense. It really doesn't. But Notre Dame has a lot to play for. They have a lot to play for. And they come into Clemson. Now, Clemson, as I said, they're on a 2-game skid. They're 4-4 overall. Probably the most unlucky, and I don't believe in luck, but unlucky team I have ever seen in my entire life. Putting up really solid stats only to turn over the ball left and right. It's crazy. Even with Clemson being 4-4 on a 2-game skid, Notre Dame, and this is the Monday before the Notre Dame Clemson game. So someone gets abducted by an alien. The line could change, but as of right now, Notre Dame is only a 2.5-point favorite to play this Saturday at Clemson, 12 o'clock on ABC. I mean, they have scored over 100 points between their last 2 games, and one of those games was, yes, Southern Cal. And they're only a 2.5-point favorite against Clemson. Well, let's talk about why that is. Because this could possibly answer the question, can Clemson wreck Notre Dame season? Clemson, even when they are not on their game, and right now they're not on their game. Let's rephrase that. They have 4 losses for a reason. And we can try to talk that away, but there's still 4 L's in the loss column. Right? But how could Notre Dame come into Clemson and be only a 2.5-point favorite? Clemson is a tough place to play at. It's a very tough place to play at. I remember even in the years that Tommy Bowden was there, it was a tough place to play at. Yeah, we would have some team march into Death Valley and beat the crap out of the Tommy Bowden teams, but there were a lot of times that great teams came in. I was at the triple overtime game with the University of Miami, and Devin Hester came, and they got out by the skin of their teeth. And that was way back then. But losing in Death Valley for Clemson rarely happens. Now, of course, this season is a bunch of rarely happens in the past 10 years of Clemson football. But Notre Dame has a lot to play for, and Clemson would be more than happy to wreck that. Let's take this. We have a team who has a lot to play for. We have a team who they're shocked that their season is going the way that it is. You know it. I know it. We all know it. Why would Clemson go into this game and play with fear? It's not like you're going to ruin your season that's already ruined. Notre Dame, they're already garnering a lot of attention for this coming bowl season. I mean, if Notre Dame keeps at this rate, they're going to be in a big New Year's Day bowl. It would take some other teams falling off for them to be considered for the playoff, but I am telling you, Notre Dame is playing really good football right now. They look really dominant. And if you look at the rest of their schedule, and I'm pulling that up right now as we speak, this is the last big game that Notre Dame has. Because after this, they play Wake Forest. Ooh. Then they play at Stanford. Now, I'm not saying that they shouldn't pay attention to Stanford, but Notre Dame is way better than the transfer portal filled preseason hyped Colorado Buffaloes. They actually have tenure. They actually have depth. So if there is one game that could wreck Notre Dame's season, this would be it. 12 o'clock, Death Valley, Clemson, South Carolina. But how would this have to go down? I want to take you back to the NC State game this past week. Clemson was down 24-7. Us Clemson fans were sitting there wiping our eyes thinking that we either formed cataracts, we'd either taken some type of drug that we didn't know was somehow put in our food. Maybe we were having a seizure. You know, the one that goes on in your head. What's that called? Old people has them all the time. Anyway, we were down 17 points to an underwhelming NC State team and a guy who was only starting his third football game at quarterback. All of a sudden, Clemson opens up the playbook. Suddenly, Clemson is moving the ball. They're passing the ball like crazy. They forsook the run raid, whatever they're calling this crap now. And you could see the look on NC State's face. They went, oh crap. They're deciding to use their talent now. And before you know it, Clemson was right back in the game. And then they went back to conservative play calling. I don't know what happened there. I don't know why we didn't implement that a little earlier in the season. And sure, a defensive coordinator could adjust for it, but make them adjust. Make them adjust to the pass. Make them fear the offense. If, and that's a big word, small word formed by two letters, massive implications. If Clemson opens up the playbook this Saturday, because there's nothing else to protect for Clemson. A 10-win season, in my opinion, was out the door when I saw the Wake Forest game. I knew it was out the door then. I tried to be optimistic, but I kept saying to every one of you who would listen to me, this scares me what just happened with Wake Forest. I thought that we were fixing things. And they blew it to Miami. They just blew it to NC State. If they open up the playbook just because the season is ruined, I believe they stand a good chance of possibly upsetting Notre Dame in Death Valley. Now, some of you right now, and I have the comment section turned off, by the way, because A, I can't read the comments and have the, do the whole show thing. Why? Because my mind doesn't operate that way. But it would be possible. It would be possible for Clemson to do that only and only if they open up the playbook. Also, consider that most likely Will Shipley, and I don't know, maybe they've already solidified this, Will Shipley most likely is not playing this Saturday, giving Phil Maffa the nod, and most likely there's a great chance you would see Quadzilla Dominique Thomas out on the field, which between you and I believe that would be a good thing. Phil Maffa needs to touch the football more. And I don't know, nobody's told me anything. I don't know what's going on, but something's going on with Will Shipley. I'm not saying that towards him. I'm just saying something is going on, whether it's a relationship between he and a coach, whether it's him personally, whether he's injured. We don't know, but something has not been right this season. You know it. I know it. I think he knows it. But Phil Maffa is averaging 6.2 yards per carry, and that's not on 10 carries, folks. No, that's on multiple carries. I don't have the stats in front of me, but the guy is incredible. Maybe, just maybe, this unfortunate injury, and I don't want anyone injured, but sometimes it does play in your favor. Maybe that helps. That they don't feel obligated to have to feed the ball to Shipley. That they have to give the ball to Maffa. Now let's go to the Notre Dame side of the football. News came out today that their leading receiver, I know this is going to be shocking, that Notre Dame's leading receiver is their tight end. Yes, Michael Mayer, he is gone. And just like Notre Dame fashion, they fill his shoes with a junior tight end, 6'5", 260. Sounds just like your prototypical, fantastic Notre Dame tight end. Mitchell Evans, 29 receptions, 422 yards on the season, 1 touchdown. He is their top receiver on the team. Today it came out, he is out for the season. He is done. So he will not play against Clemson, unfortunately for that young man. Now, if you take a look at Notre Dame's running game, Audric Estime, you want to talk about a brute of a running back. I mean, this guy's 5'11", 227 pounds. He has that low center of gravity. He's going to hit you. Now, he and Maffa reminds me a lot of one another. Now, Maffa is bigger than him. I think Maffa's like 6'1", 230, somewhere in there. Correct me if I'm wrong. But, 5'11", 227, 230. He's carried the ball 146 times, 901 yards, 12 touchdowns. This guy has the ability to do some really great things. Now, he's already rushed for more yards than he rushed for last year, and he was from right off the top of my head, he was splitting carries with someone else. But this guy is a workhorse, and they're going to feed the ball to him because they should. Now, a little bit about Notre Dame, and I know I haven't talked about the quarterback with Notre Dame. Everybody knows the quarterback for Notre Dame is Sam Hartman, former Wake Forest quarterback. He amassed a ton of yards there at Wake Forest. I don't blame him for going to Notre Dame, trying to get more eyes on him, trying to get to the big leagues, trying to accomplish more in college football. I don't blame him. He's 149 of 228, 2,126 yards, 18 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. I don't have to really talk about Sam Hartman that much. We know who he is. Notre Dame's averaging about 427 per game. They're a little more pass heavy, 263 in the air, 164 on the ground. Yards allowed by the defense, 279. They allow 158 in the air, 120 on the ground. They're a good football team. They have the ability to come in and play well. They have the ability to come in and be physical. You have to remember they have Joe Alt on their team. This guy's, what, 6'8", 315, 320 pounds? Some people says he's the best offensive lineman in college football, while others says he's one of the top. They wouldn't be shocked if he was. Clemson has their hands full. And I'm going to do my official preview and prediction in the next few days, and I'll release that. But the question is, can Clemson do it? On paper, absolutely. In reality, sure. It's a 12 o'clock game in Clemson, South Carolina. Now, I don't know what the temperature is supposed to be for that day, but I can tell you I live in the upstate of South Carolina. Right now, this is Monday again. We were, I think, in the 80s today, mid-80s. But Wednesday, it's supposed to get really cold. I don't know if that's going to carry over to this weekend. I should have checked the weather. Do better. I'm sorry. I had to do that. I should have done better. But if it's warmer, maybe that plays into Clemson's favor. A lot of people are shocked when they come to Clemson, especially in the warmer months, like September. And when I say warmer months, I'm talking about warmer months of the college football season. They're shocked at how hot it is, but they're even more shocked at how hard it is to breathe with the humidity. And folks, I was outside today. It was still humid. Yes, almost November, humid. So Clemson has the ability to win this football game. And if they do, they wreck Notre Dame's season. Because Notre Dame can look and say, hey, we lost to Ohio State. Well, who's Ohio State? They're one of the top teams in the country. It's, once again, unless something crazy happens, the playoffs will be partially decided by the Michigan-Ohio State game. Don't be shocked if both teams get in according to how they finish out their season and the score between Ohio State and Michigan. That could happen. Then Louisville, even though that is a head scratcher for many, they're 7-1, 8-1 right now. Brian Brom, if he continues on this path for the rest of the season, he'll probably get Coach of the Year, and he should. That loss to Louisville is not looking so bad. You don't want losses. I know, trust me. I hemorrhage at the thought of a loss. Needless to say, with their Clemson season, I've bled a lot this year. Gunshot wound to the stomach. But Notre Dame has a lot to play for. Clemson is shocked. Their season has been ruined. The fan base is restless. And these players who, when they were in high school, some of them didn't even lose a game while they're in high school. Some of them won 2, 3, maybe 4 state championships in a row in their 4 years in high school. They don't know what it's like to lose much less 4 games in a season. That's not why they came to Clemson. Maybe, just maybe, they pull it together and they wreck Notre Dame's season. My official prediction, I'll release it either in the next couple of days. And I hope you'll check it out. Folks, I have a bunch of you in here. I hope you subscribe. Also, I hope you hit the thumbs up if you want to join the show. You want to join and become a Not Bobby Durkins member. There's a join button below. Now, if you're on an iPhone, you might not see it. It is so flippin' cheap, you won't miss it. And it's very, very easy. I do appreciate it. Folks, I will catch you later. And as always, go Tigers.